Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Bojack Horseman, which we'll be getting into today. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Alex Bonilla.
Hola.
And Sam Quattro.
Hey.
Today, Alex, Sam, and I are continuing our Bojack Horseman Season 4 coverage, going episode by episode through all of Season 4. We originally were thinking 2 episodes at a time. So far, that's not been the case. But today we're talking Hooray, Todd episode, not my words, the third episode of Bojack Horseman Season 4. We already have podcasts up on episodes 1 and 2, which you can find at overlyanimated.com or search for Overly Animated Bojack Horseman on whatever podcatching app you like. And if you're on an iTunes affiliated one, you can find our Bojack Horseman specific iTunes feed and subscribe to that for just our Bojack podcast. Also our main feed at overlyanimated.com/iTunes. So yeah, we've been going through, check out our podcasts on, episodes 1 and 2, but today we'll be getting into episode 3, Hooray, Todd episode. Have we had an episode of Bojack that had episode in the name before? Or is that new? I feel like that's probably new.
I feel like we have.
We'll fact check that.
I have the facts.
Okay. Well,
let me look at them.
All it takes is a control F, I feel like. But we can do that.
Well, I don't have that up. I have the Netflix page up though.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know if you can control F on Netflix. So let's talk Hooray Todd episode. We're getting to everything about this episode. Overlyanimated.com for everything, but let's get into this. Alex, what are your thoughts on this episode?
I really liked it. I think it's this is how Todd is best used. Just like him being involved in like, if you're going to use him, get him involved with the main characters. So here he's involved a little bit with Mr. Peanut Butter. He's involved a little bit with Princess Carolyn, and he gets a good interaction with Bojack. And all of those, like, it helps us it actually gives us an insight into his character, how he's acted thus far in the series. It's not, while there are the hijinks, but it's wrapped in, you can take things out that are meaningful to his character. And I think just the entire episode it's fun. I don't think there was really a part that dragged that much, except for maybe the Courtney Portnoy stuff. But all in all, it's obviously not reaching the heights that episode 2 got, but I do think it's better than the episode 1, and it's a solid to above average Bojack episode, I think.
Nice. Sam, what's the verdict? Any episodes with episode in there? No, that's what I mean.
No, there isn't.
Okay, that's
the one I was thinking of was the Bojack Horseman show.
And yeah, that's true. We did have it called that. Okay. Anyway, what are your thoughts on Hooray Todd episode?
Oh, Todd. I don't really like Todd that much. I think he's kind of useless. But here we have Todd actually being useful for a change, and actually like impacting things that happen with others. So I think that was enjoyable. I don't know. I think I liked it better than I thought I was going to. But yeah, there was just some stuff that like dragged, like the Courtney Portnoy wordplay.
So much disrespect for Courtney Portnoy. Come on, jeez.
I don't know. She's like, I don't care whoever she is. She's just a girl, and I don't care about her. But I don't know. I think there are definitely like strong points to the episode, especially the ending and all the stuff with Bojack and Hollyhock and a bunch of other stuff. So.
Okay. Look, I didn't expect this, but as the number one Todd hater in the world, I will say that I loved this episode.
Oh my God!
Congratulations!
You would,
yeah.
Well, welcome aboard the Todd tolerable bandwagon.
Okay, he was tolerable here. I'm not on board Todd, but Hooray Todd episode was fantastic. I agree it's not as good as episode 2, which I think is like I wasn't on that pod, but my take is that's like a top 10 episode of the series, incredibly good. This is a remarkable Hooray Todd episode, a remarkable episode of television in quite a few aspects. Like, this is one of the most progressive episodes of TV I've ever seen in several aspects. And I'm flabbergasted that Bojack has evolved to this point where it's just such morally positive, TV. I'm so happy. Like there's so many aspects here. I mean, this is one of the premier like asexual representation episodes in all TV history. Like first of all, and that's not even getting into the Hollyhock stuff, which is also incredible. So there's so much to get into here. I like in terms of like entertainment, I also found this episode to be good. I think that there's a lot of funny parts. I think it basically never drags. I probably agree Courtney Portnoy stuff is the least strong part of the episode, but it's still fine. And, really, it's very good. Like top 20 episode of Bojack. I don't know. There's a lot of good episodes.
I mean, there's only like 40 something, so.
I feel like there's more. I don't know.
No.
Oh yeah, you're right. This is episode 40. Yeah. This is episode 40. Okay. So, top half. Okay. There you go. That's my hot take. But yeah, this is like the best utilization of Todd ever by far. Agree or disagree?
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Just because Todd is involved so much in this episode, and like we mentioned, it goes more into his character and doesn't focus on the shenanigans, because I think that's what we dislike about him the most, right? The fact that his stuff usually ends up having no impact on anything. But here he does have impact on several stuff while at the same time showing you stuff about himself.
Yeah. What do you think, Sam? Best Todd use ever?
Yes. He's so giving.
Yeah.
He's so selfish, selfless.
He's helping everyone out. Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a good kid, good egg. That Todd.
Good kid, but it also shows you what's the downside to doing that all the time. The fact that you end up feeling not appreciated for doing those kind of things. So it's also nice that you get both sides. It's not a totally bland character, that they show some layers here.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely Todd mostly in the show is just shoehorned in plots, completely no effect on anything else. And here it's the exact opposite. We're basing the entire movement of the show around Todd, specifically as a Todd gimmick episode, but it really just I think it kind of like highlights how bad he's used otherwise, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, if we specifically do this, we can actually make him a good character if we like try for a second with Todd. It also, you could argue that this like subverts the very nature of Todd's character, and that he's a parody of like thrown in useless characters in sitcoms. But I'd prefer this. It wasn't working what we had before. So yeah, I think the episode is kind of framed around Todd. We have the beginning and end of the episode with this orchestra nonsense.
Yeah, it was kind of dumb.
It was dumb, but I really like the Lion character. I think Keith David elevates any character he voices.
Yeah, this is a good Keith David character. It's the many Rick and Morty characters that Keith David has voiced, most prominently Reverse Giraffe, in my opinion. But
also Flame King from
and Flame King. Yeah, he's in everything, right? But here, it really sells it, the Lion's monologue. I don't know if we have a name for that character, but Todd apparently takes over the triangle part in an orchestra, and we just get like the backstory of Todd. First we have like references to previous Todd plots. They're like, he's in a prison gang, he's a tech millionaire, he's a foreign prince. It's like, yeah, this is how absurd this character's been. Thanks for reminding us. But yeah, then the Lion talks about how Todd saved his daughter and delivered her baby, and we get like this thing about circumcision on it.
And the greatest part is I can somehow believe that this all actually happened at some point.
You could believe this, really. I guess it's not that far off from anything we've seen. from
like
Todd
if this was a D plot in an episode from season 1, I would buy it.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I don't know. Can Todd have a respectful debate about circumcision?
I mean, typically Todd doesn't get too deep, but yeah. So maybe that's the least believable part. He could be informed about it, though. He's reading up on a bunch of stuff now. But yeah, that I thought that was very funny. All that the beginning of the episode. But yeah, that's kind of our framing device with Todd, and then he just runs around the rest of the episode doing things and intersects.
I like how he runs.
You like how Todd runs?
He just like runs with his arms behind him.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I didn't notice that, but yeah, it's and he just intersects with everyone's plot, including Bojack's daughter, who we meet for the first time, right, in this episode. I don't think she's in episode 2. Yeah, and I guess she's like been in the shadows for a while. And Princess Caroline's plot with Courtney Portnoy, and then Mr. Peanut Butter's plot with the campaign, and also Diane. Yeah. with her blog site, and then
BuzzFeed.
Yeah, their BuzzFeed parody, and BoJack's back, and we have some great BoJack and Todd moments, including the very end, which is probably the best scene of the episode. Todd and BoJack talking about Todd's asexuality. So, like, again, we're jamming everything into an episode again. We kind of have plots with all of our characters, much like episode 1. But I think, because of this Todd framing device, that, this was incredibly more successful in incorporating so many plot lines than episode 1 was. Do you agree?
Yeah, I guess that's true because, like, episode 1, it just felt like a lot of stuff. It felt like it was trying to do too much. But when you consider it with episode 3, I feel like we're treating the same amount of plots, but it never really felt like one had nothing to do with the other. But I guess it's because of that, because Todd's involved in everything.
Yeah, we made them made them relate through Todd. And there really isn't. There's just as much going on. I think another thing they do is they de-emphasize the less important stuff. Like all the stuff with Courtney Portnoy doesn't take up that much time. And the Diane stuff doesn't take up that much time, and it intersects well with everything else that's going on. So I think they just do a better job in managing all these plot lines. Sam, what element of this episode specifically would you say stood out to you the most?
That's a hard question.
Do you think it's Hollyhock? Do you think it's the Todd asexuality stuff? Do you think it's something else?
I think to me it was more like Todd and Bojack's relationship, and just sort of like visiting back on that, and Todd saying, not talking to Bojack for a year was working out for him. That made me really sad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Bojack's such like a big asshole loser, and Todd was like one of the only constants, and then that all went to shit. So it sucks, and it made me sad. But at the end, they sort of put a patch on things a little bit. Like they threaded the needle. So I don't know. That stuff was probably the most poignant to me and my feelings about life.
Yeah, I could definitely say that. Yeah, they really integrated that well into everything else that was happening too. So it doesn't even seem like a major part, but that was definitely a highlight in the context of the larger series of the episode. What about you, Alex? What stands out to you the most from this?
I actually would have given the same response because honestly, like that moment is pretty much the culmination of the Todd Bojack relationship, like over the course of 3 seasons. And like during this episode, we see him like eventually like making his own decisions, whereas he's been portrayed in the past 3 seasons as mostly a doormat, right? Just letting people do what they want him. But here he finally makes his stand, and like where Bojack is always the one to manipulate, finally Todd is the one who like can see through that, and he finally finds happiness with the situation with Bojack in some small way. So, like, while there's a lot of stuff in this episode that is good, because not to take away from the asexuality plot or Hollyhock, who I think is excellent in this episode, but the Bojack Todd, just because of all the history behind it, felt like the appropriate climax for this episode.
Yeah, I think that was really well done. I agree with both of you that was an excellent part. Like to me, that's like the third most notable thing behind the other 2 things I mentioned. But it's so well done, and it's inseparable from the Todd asexual stuff that we get into, which is my number 1, of course. I mean, I've already talked about how in episode 1 pod how meaningful that is as representation, and I also think Hollyhock. I want to talk about her. I think I want to talk about her first, and then we can get into the asexual stuff. I think it's a pretty incredible character introduction. So yeah, let's talk about Hollyhock here. Hollyhock, Mannheim, Guerrero, Robinson, Zilberschlag, Sung, Fun, Zarelli, McQuack. There you go. I wrote it down. And she was adopted by 8 men in a polyamorous gay committed relationship. Which I love. I love that so much. And she's voiced by Aparna Nancherla, who I recognized her picture from Master of None. She was in one of the episodes this season. But yeah, I think she does a great job with this role. And Hollyhock is let me give my take, and then you can respond to this. I think Hollyhock is like remarkable representation in her own right. As just sort of like a realistic portrayal of a young female. I think that she is like a realistic body type. I think that she like acts in realistic ways. Like just the part of like, oh yeah, I was gonna do that, but then I ate a box of donuts and took a nap. This is like a type of character that you just never see on TV. She's not like, she's like not clearly not written through a male attraction lens. She just feels like a real person to me. What do you think of Hollyhock, Sam?
I agree. She is very realistic. I love that kid. She's amazing. I don't know. She's very interesting. You can definitely tell that her and Bojack are father and daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Alex, of Hollyhock?
Well, I love her as a character. Just to play devil's advocate, I feel like this the her being like normal, kind of lazy, like while it is realistic, but I think that's more the writers just trying to hit home how related she is to Bojack. The fact that she's pretty much acting exactly the same way Bojack would in those certain situations, even repeating some of his lines, like "I'm cleaning out his DVR." Get it? You do get it, right? Like repeating his own mannerisms, his own actions. So I feel like that was more what they were going for with the character than representation, but it is a nice side effect, the fact that it is a character that you don't see very often in television.
I'll disagree with that. I think it was, I think this writing staff's proved its, progressive chops, and I think that this was a specifically realistic, portrayal. I agree that, like, you know, clearly that's what they're going for with the Bojack thing, but, a different show doesn't do this. They try to make her like attractive and like not and like super thin. Like this is totally only a thing that Bojack would do, I think. And I'm going to give them like the benefit of that. I think it was completely intentional as representation for like, real life females. So, you know,
agree. I'm one of those.
Yeah. To be honest, Sam is like, I don't know. She like remind me of a lot of people I know, you included. Like, it's like, oh, this is a real person.
I'm a lazy horse girl.
Yeah, you're not a horse, true, but it's yeah. That's,
how do you know?
I mean, this is I guess in the Bojack world, but yeah, this is the problem with Bojack comparisons. So I was like, oh, that
great,
person's
we gotta
an
have
animal.
Bojack Sonas now.
Is that a thing? Yeah, that's
no
one knows what that means.
Oh,
it's like gem
I...
sonas with Steven Universe. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'll be a cow.
People probably do that. I think that's just called being a furry. I think that's like
yeah.
I don't think that's okay. Anyway, yeah. So, what Sam? What do you think of Hollyhock being? She was adopted by 8 men in a polyamorous gay committed relationship.
You know. Why do you have the two Mannheims if like
yeah what's up with that? Yeah.
Like, were they like formally married or
I think I think one of the 8 took the other 8's name, but the others didn't.
Or like it was originally just the two Mannheims together, but then they wanted to add to their relationship, and then
you think they wouldn't put the two Mannheims if that was the case? It would just be, but I don't know. We're representing everyone in there, but yeah.
That's a lot of dads. You can make a sitcom out of that.
Yeah, it's like the reverse horsing around. 8 dads and like one kid, adopted kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
3 men and a baby to 8 men and a teen.
Yeah, I think so.
My 2 dads.
Yeah, just the fact that the show is like could like go for this concept of her being adopted from a polyamorous relationship. It's just so wonderful. Like, I'm so glad the show is embracing, just things outside of the, heteronorm. I don't know if you can use that word like that. The heteronormative norm. And yeah, so.
I like that heteronorm.
Yeah, we should start saying that.
That's our new example guy for hetero stuff. Just, hi, I'm heteronorm.
Oh, like Norm, the first name. Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
I like to put my penis into vaginas that belong to women.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, that we can. That's Sam's new comic strip character, heteronorm parodying.
I just gotta learn how to talk.
Yeah, parodying. Yeah, so that
just draw Bojack. You would have said that exact same line.
Yeah, I think so. That's Hollyhock. Alex, how do you think this? How did this relate to your expectations of what they were going to do with Bojack's daughter? I feel like this was I don't know what I was expecting from this plotline, but this was probably not it.
Well, it's interesting that they just it comes very quickly to the conclusion. Oh yeah, he's your father. Like I figure that would be stretched out a bit more, but at the same time, I'd prefer it this way in the end because that gives us more time to delve into how Bojack is going to handle this opportunity after failing with Sarah Lynn, the opportunity to be a father figure for someone. And someone from scratch, right? Like he has no relationship to this person at all. So in that sense, I'm actually happy in the end that they kept this whole "is he my father? Is he not?" to one episode. But yeah, like overall, I think we were all expecting it from the trailer, so it's fine that it didn't beat around the bushes in that sense.
Yeah, I think so. Sam, what do you think of that? Wrapping up, not necessarily wrapping it up, but like not stretching this plot out.
I think it felt kind of fast. Then again, the whole like year and a half like time skip montage, whatever that they did, kind of felt like a whiplash almost. Like it does, like to me, it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but obviously it has been that long. And so, like, you know, we're seeing this character that we saw at the end of season 3, and it's been like a year, and now I'm finally deciding to just private eye around LA to find Bojack. Blah blah blah. As far as like, you know, this being like a second chance at sort of being like a father figure for Sarah Lynn, like in place of like what happened with Sarah Lynn. I know like there was like, you know, some sort of like fatherly thing going on with Sarah Lynn, but they also had sex, so maybe not.
That's why.
No, right. That was Bojack totally failing in his opportunity.
Yeah, that's why that episode was so fucked up and so great, and I'll defend that. But yeah. So we're not gonna get into Sarah Lynn because I'll spend the whole episode on that. But
she's dead.
Oh my! Please
get over it.
Look, I'm happy. Don't make me.
How did you enjoy the Sarah Lynn story from last episode?
Yeah, that was it was. I thought that was great, but didn't make me sad. We'll see if that if future Sarah Lynn stuff does. But yeah, I do think that's what they're going for with this Hollyhock plotline for the most part. But yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes. But yeah, at the end, she does learn that Bojack's her dad, and then she rings the doorbell, and we see them meet, but we don't see the conclusion to that in this episode. So interested to see what that's like. I can't imagine this being healthy for either one of them, but maybe it's a new Bojack, so who knows, maybe. Not holding my breath. Let's talk the Todd asexual stuff in this episode, because I think this is a remarkable feat of representation. I mean, I already spent a large part of episode 1 talking about how meaningful this type of thing is in a progressive socially progressive representation sense, but it goes to another level on this episode. I want to talk about the parts of the episode where this comes from, where this shows up. So at first, this is all at the end, and Todd says, I don't think I'm allowed to be in love. Then he says, I think I'm asexual. Bojack says, sexual what? Sexual deviant, dynamite, harassment lawsuit waiting to happen. Asexual, not sexual. Bojack says, I wish I was asexual. Maybe then I wouldn't have a strain of herpes. Yeah, I know multiple strains, but the joke only works with the A. I thought that was really funny. I really like that line.
I hope Bojack wears condoms when he has sex.
Considering the amount of abortions he says he's had to pay for in the past,
yeah, I said that,
I really doubt that.
I mean, related that the 90s line. So, yeah, Todd said Bojack used to say his penis was like sun-dried tomatoes. Back in the 90s, it got into everything. There you go. That doesn't answer Sam's question, but I thought it was related.
No.
So
also, how are you still alive if you have like multiple strains of herpes? I don't like.
I think that's not. I don't think it's like a fatal thing. We can read up on this, but yeah. Anyway,
I guess
continuing. It actually feels good to say it. It feels good to finally say it out loud. I'm an asexual person. I am asexual. Bojack says they're not ready to be friends again with, or Todd says not ready to be friends again with Bojack. We can be more than friends. Bojack says, for an asexual, more than friends is as good as it gets.
More than not
friends is as good as it gets. And Bojack says, I'm not really or Todd says, I'm not really at a place where I'm ready to joke about it yet. I think that's like a great use of to deal with a serious issue in a comedy show like this. Like Bojack definitely inappropriately jokes about it like that. And they lampshade it with Todd's response. I think that it's such a wonderful, like they don't like turn off the show to get into this type of thing. They integrate it, and, like having Bojack joke about it, I think really works, because I do buy that Bojack is just like socially aware of these things, like he has been in the past, I feel like. And, he's a dick enough to joke about it with this deep moment with Todd. And then,
and it actually feels a little realistic in the sense, like, when you don't totally understand like a change like this, like for some people, their first response is to go to humor, to like lighten the mood in some way. But even though you don't really consider the consequences of your jokes that are seemingly harmless to someone else.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think Bojack mostly understands, but yeah, he definitely like uncomfortable, I guess, with this. So he's not like used to it, dealing with it, even if he's aware. He's clearly aware of what it means. So that's the first thing. I think it's integrated so well, and they put it into like what's the best, and it's the best scene of the episode, and it's tied in really well to Bojack and Todd's relationship. So that's the first thing. Second thing is we kind of hit on multiple levels of good representation here. We actually say asexual. We have Todd say it. We have him deal with what it means to himself. Like, it says good to say it out loud. Like, he was afraid to say it before. Like, I read this post on Tumblr, obviously, and by 10 Itchy Fingers, who talked about how like this post was really meaningful for this episode was really meaningful for them, how they related to Todd. Like, it feels nice to say it out loud, to the emotions he was going through before, and then him going to the asexual meeting, and they say it like makes them feel really great, and they related a lot to their own experiences. And yeah, I think this is just like A+ representation on almost every level. And like, I never see that from television. Like, there's always like a but, like when we're talking about this. I don't know if I have a but here. Like, I feel like we basically hit the representation checklist here. What do you think, Sam?
I agree. I feel like we had like a little bit ways to go. I mean, there's like coming out, but then there's also, living with, your sexual preferences or lack thereof. So I think we have like, a ways to go to see like how everything will like pan out. But I do think it's really like important, really great that, they even dared to say the word asexual, because like I can't think of any other show, movie, game, whatever that has ever said that.
Yeah, Sam, no one's gonna get this except me and you, Sam, but this reminded me a lot of Faking It, and the like anti-labels episode they have, episode 1 reminded me of that. But then Faking It was just really frustrating, because then they like wouldn't say like lesbian or anything. But then this show, like,
wait, they never said lesbian?
I don't remember, but they
I mean,
didn't
okay,
say
one of the characters.
Yeah, because I've seen commercials for it.
She didn't want to label herself as a lesbian, even though that's what everybody else is calling her, which is like, fine, great, but actual lesbians exist. I am one of them, and it's like it's the same as, not the same as asexual, obviously, but like the weight of the word is the same for the people who use it. It's something that gives identity and like community and like a sort of power to yourself. And it's scary to have that. But, at the same time, it's important. There you go.
Yeah, that was really great, Sam. And Alex, I know that sounds absurd, but like, seriously, just saying asexual like already puts the show ahead of almost every other show on TV.
I agree with you there on asexual. Like, that's not a thing that I've heard either.
No, but also for other also for like lesbian and bisexual, like, shows just don't say they for some reason they're just averse to saying like the name. It's like an example of how far we have not come with representation on these shows. And I feel like BoJack specifically did not do that. And I agree with Sam that this is only the beginning of like this for Todd personally. But I think at least in this aspect of his life, when this is the only part that this episode was covering, I guess it's like an incomplete grade. You know, we can't like give it an A+ yet because we still have to see what happens. But at least in this aspect of his like, this is like an A+ for me. And I don't know if I would have rated that for any other show with any other aspect of representation, honestly, that I've seen recently. I guess like the Thanksgiving episode of Master of None this year, that'd be an A+. And but yeah, and I like also this is only episode 3, so we have time to get into more of this with Todd later in the season.
And also, it's interesting that they put that him going to the meeting right at the end of the episode, so that at least to me, it makes you feel like they're going to continue on that plot line if that's what they leave you with as like one of the final parting shots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love the background of that music. Like they say aces too on the banner. Wonderful, just using aces, like wonderful. So. Yeah, I'd love to see more of that. I love the 5 seconds we saw of the meeting. Yeah, Sam, any other thoughts about the Todd asexuality plot?
I don't know. There was something else I wanted to say about like the label game and how I think it was episode 1. Todd was sort of like playing with it, especially at Luke when he was talking to Emily and stuff. Labeling yourself is scary, and like. When people first start to come out, a lot of the times they don't really want to commit to like one singular thing. Even though like they might feel like strongly that thing, it's like, what if, I turn into like at least with like lesbianism, since like that's the thing I can like vouch for the most. What if I'm like, the stereotypical lesbian or whatever. And it's scary to like, fall into society's perceived stereotypes of what you closely identify with. But, once you find community and once you find other people who are just like you and who can like, share your experiences, it becomes less scary. And I hope Todd, finds that in his like meetings with, this asexuals like meeting at the bars and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like in that talk with Courtney Portnoy, he mentioned something like that, like, what if it's not everything I want it to be? So like he has these expectations, but at the same time, he's not. It seems like he's not really sure if he can like necessarily live up to the expectations he already has in his mind of what that meeting is going to be like, meeting people similar to him. He just has no idea, and that's what scares him, the fact that he is just unsure of how things are going to go and how to react.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about that scene. That's another great. I love how they incorporated that into that part as well. Briefly on what Sam said, also, yes, very valid with what Sam said with the labels thing. Also, for some people, some people are never gonna want labels, and that's also very valid. Like just
true,
yeah, right? So,
you're all valid.
Yeah, we're just coming from our own experiences, and that's what we're talking about. But I also agree that the Todd. What we saw here from Todd was very realistic for me as well. Like the no labels at first, and then finding definition and finding like dealing with worries and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's definitely a portrayal of that will resonate with a lot of people. So yeah, that I think that's such a significant part of the episode and handled so well. But let's talk. So we talked Talyok, we talked the Todd asexual stuff. And there's still several more plot lines here, I guess.
Fracking.
Oh yeah, so let's talk the fracking stuff. I like how Mr. Peanut Butter talks about it. He says, well, color me the people, because I also would like to know my opinion about fracking. Yeah. We see future potential Discord as Diane is like, don't come out for fracking. And then at the end, I found it pretty silly how Todd just signed the petition and then that's his accepted stance.
Very sitcom-y.
Yeah, but it was funny and how it related to what else was happening in the episode, and also how Katrina's like, the polling research will decide our opinion. Very, very on the nose satire here about politicians. And yeah, I have this line from Mr. Peanut Butter. Are you a fan of charming but inoffensive Will Smith movies? Because slight hitch, I always show I'm emphatic by taking off my glasses, but I kind of lost them. So, that's like, I feel like that's like a very standard BoJack line. weird Hitch reference there. Yeah, and then his Mr. Peanut Butter's speech with him trying to not take a stance on fracking. How do you think all of this was handled in the episode, Alex?
I think pretty standard. Like it, better than the first episode. I think the first episode was even more superficial. At least here, it's like talking a little bit more about like how politics is often promising certain things during a campaign. Then the politicians maybe not caring as much because they know once they get into office, they can end up doing what they want. So like in that sense, I guess it's a little more focused to the point they're trying to make, even if it's still relatively on the surface. But yeah, I think it's silly enough for Mr. Peanut Butter that I buy it.
Yeah. Sam, thoughts on all of the Mr. Peanut Butter fracking stuff?
I had to look up what fracking was again because I didn't really remember what it was. I don't know. I'm not really interested in this whole Mr. Peanut Butter for Governor plotline. Feels kind of dumb. I don't know, dude. It's a thing.
Yeah. I thought it was integrated better here than episode 1, but it's not the highlight of this, but it was fine, I would say.
But yeah, that Diane moment definitely feels like a setup to something else. And I think that's obviously, I think, what's more interesting to us than the actual campaign, just what effect that it has on Diane and Mr. Peanut Butter's relationship. And you can see that going south pretty quickly.
Yeah, I also found that very realistic to Diane's character, so I appreciated that.
Of course you would be against fracking.
Yeah, like it's Diane, right? So
I love that girl.
We have the Princess Caroline stuff with Courtney Portnoy. I think the highlight of everything with Princess Caroline is the insane.
You keep saying her name wrong.
Courtney Portney? No, it's not. It's
not
Portnoy.
Portnoy, yeah.
No. You keep saying Princess Caroline's name wrong.
Princess Caroline. Caroline. I'm going to probably say Caroline a lot, whatever.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I like how that was the name I said wrong, not
Yeah, I could give less of a fuck about Courtney.
Yeah, so I think, about Princess Caroline, with the, oh my God.
How dare you?
I know. The insane wordplay we get with her and Todd in the scene when Todd gets to retrieve the glasses. Did not transcribe that. It was
good, because it was kind of like, it's too much.
Overload. Mistaken was the highlight.
I love Mistaken,
but like it's buried in all that surrounding wordplay that it doesn't really stand out as much as I think it should.
I agree with that. Mistaken is very funny. I read an interview with the creator Raphael, who said that Amy Sedaris hates the wordplay, so they just always give a ton of it to her. Anyway, I feel like
oh God,
well, that's a dick move.
Well, he said she's really good at it. So she does seem really good at it. So, yeah, I mean, who's
just because you're good at something doesn't make it actually good in execution.
I found it.
I think it might have been funnier if Courtney
Potato, yeah.
Portnoy. Yeah. If she was a real person, but she isn't.
Yeah, I mean she is, but not important enough.
Is she a real person? I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think she is. She's voiced by she's voiced by not a person, so she's voiced by Sharon Horgan.
Well, I guess good on them for making an actress name that sounds realistic.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't put a real person here. I was confused about that.
I don't know.
Yeah, this is very atypical for this show. Maybe it'll become clearer with future episodes. But yeah, everything we're doing with her doesn't really make sense to me right now. This is the only thing that did make sense to me is that this is the Sarah Lynn role. I think we've done this plotline with Sarah Lynn. Sarah Lynn needs to date someone done. Did we do this with Sarah Lynn and Todd? We might have. She had Andrew Garfield. That might have been a show relationship. There definitely was that, but yeah, I feel like this is like the Sarah Lynn type character, and we don't have that on the show anymore. But yeah, so the wordplay with the mistake. Yeah, I agree. Mistaken's really good. And then the headline: Courtney finds joy in hoi polloi boy toy was the headline. And also Todd's line from the scene, I think, is also a highlight. Todd says, "I do love getting my picture taken. It's proof I exist." Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, we all get this random existential stuff from Todd. You think sometimes that he's immune to that on the show, but no. Yeah, so then they have the fashion show. So I don't know. What do you think of the fashion show stuff? We had Tim Gunn and Marc Jacobs there, so that was a thing.
Thumbs down.
Thumbs down?
I mean, okay, I agree that fashion should be accessible to all the people, but I feel like that really goes against the modern, like, societal connotations of what quote unquote fashion is. You know, if fashion became like something that is very elite and is like, you know, only for the best, and the people who can afford it and whatever. And like fashion is like an art form as, you know, as much as like painting, sculptures, etc. But, you know, those are also only consumed by elites. Like, you know, you can't buy a fucking $500,000 painting for your house. You can go to a museum for like $20 and see it, but like that's not the same.
Yeah, there's Sam's fashion statement corner. I found the satire to be just very on the nose again, much like the campaign. Like they didn't spend a lot of time with it, and then they're like, fashion should be accessible to all. Yay, you know.
Return fashion to its utilitarian roots.
Yeah.
I don't think fashion ever had utilitarian roots.
Okay, we don't need to get into that. I'm not informed.
I've never taken a fashion class.
I mean, it depends if you think loincloths are considered fashion. But
we're not informed on the subject. So
the funniest part of that entire scene was just him seeing the sign El Entrance. Oh, thank you. And then some guy just moves over. It's model entrance.
Yeah, that was good. He was like, muy bien, yeah. That was good. I think later with Courtney wearing the Todd outfit is very funny too. It's like, no,
this hat costs $50,000. Like you're gonna buy a fucking $10 beanie for $50,000?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So that was. I feel like the fashion show stuff might have been the down part of the episode, but I thought it was fine.
I think just Portnoy in general was low. Like whenever Todd had to do what Princess Carolyn said.
I mean, they didn't give her any outstanding lines. I like her from the little we've seen. So I think that there's a lot of potential with this character. Like, I like that she's like, oh, we're engaged. So I guess that happened at the end is supposedly her and Todd are engaged. That's it.
Yeah, that little conversation is nice. I agree.
And then at the end, is like at the dinner, and then she's like, oh, I can't go to a chain restaurant. I'll get mugged. And it's like, she's like making it like this fantasy thing with like a poor person. I think she's pretty funny there, although there's no super standout lines from that. We have the Diane stuff as well with Channing Tatum. How'd we go this far and not mention Channing Tatum, who's a major part of this episode? I'm
surprised they didn't actually get him.
I assume, I guess he could be in a future episode, but we kind of move away. But yeah, there's just no attempt at getting actual Channing Tatum. We just have Todd voicing Channing Tatum.
Todd voicing Channing Tatum. I'm busy channing right now.
Yeah. I'll come back. Tatum. Yeah. So, Todd, that's maybe Todd at his funniest. I don't know. I don't know if he's trying, I guess he's kind of trying to be funny there, but, I thought, oh, that's really good. Diane at the blog section, like Todd distracting her. It's like, oh my God, it's been 50 minutes. The most notable part of that for me was this random mouse that comes up.
She's not random.
Is she from season 2?
Yeah, she's the owner of the blog.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, she's Ralph's sister.
Who offered her the job.
Well, obviously this character is not notable for me, but I looked up her voice actress, and this is Kimiko Glenn, who was on Voltron this season as well. But yeah, so I don't know. I didn't remember that person. So
Stefani, I think her name is.
Yeah, you got that. And I don't know. Nothing with the blog has been great for me. So it's again.
Yeah, because you don't like BuzzFeed, Dylan.
Well, it's satirizing BuzzFeed though, so I should be happy with that, right?
Yeah, but why would they do that when they've had actual BuzzFeed on the show before?
That's true. I mean, it's not.
But they make fun of it there too. Like Wayne is treated as like a piece of shit.
Yeah, that was the best. Yeah, I don't think this is supposed to be BuzzFeed. I think this is supposed to. I mean, it's like all related, but it's supposed to be like.
Is it like, you know, how they have the Onion? But then there's like not like related
like
to the Onion.
Site?
It's like the Reductress.
Oh, I don't know.
Which is like just like the Onion for like women problems. Like it's like the Cosmo Onion.
Like Jezebel.
Yeah, this is supposed to be like it's supposed to be like a feminist blog. Yeah, it's a parody of like Jezebel, or I don't know what.
I think that's the closest comp we have.
Yeah,
here.
I definitely agree with that. We like all their content is female oriented and stuff like that. So the whole thing with like Channing Tatum and the illegitimate the gossip about his illegitimate child, but all of that's kind of nonsense. But it ties it well to the rest of the show, I think.
Yeah, also like that when Todd sees that Bojack is in the house and Bojack is like, "Oh, I really have a great friend like Channing Tatum," and like Todd's just let down.
Todd's just like, "Oh God."
It's like,
Bojack.
man, Yeah, that is the classic Bojack moment.
Yeah, that was really good. I don't deserve a friend as thoughtful as Channing Tatum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then at the end, Diane's like, that doesn't sound at all like Channing Tatum's voice, but that's exactly the kind of thing I'd want Channing to say to me. So thanks, Channing. Love half your movies, she says. Yeah.
Which half?
Do you think Diane's a Magic Mike fan?
Probably.
Also, I don't know. I don't remember who says it, but somebody calls him the guy from Green Lantern or whatever.
Todd calls. Yeah, Todd's when he's impersonating. Yeah, he's like, "I'm the guy from Green Lantern" or whatever. Yeah.
Was he actually in Green Lantern?
No,
or did he just mistake him for Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah.
That's the joke, I think. But are they that similar? I don't think so.
No.
I mean, they're attractive white guys. Like that's kind of the joke, but it's not like.
Are you doing a Green Lantern Deadpool comparison? I guess maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, but
also Channing Tatum's almost 40.
Really?
Yeah, he's 37.
Wow, that's the most surprising thing on this podcast so far.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I loved all the Channing Tatum stuff. Todd impersonating Channing Tatum's great.
Do you think she likes Dear John?
Yeah, let's talk about what movies. Let's pull up Channing Tatum's.
I have it up.
Okay, and then let's go through every single movie that he's. No, the joke is that he's been in had some like praised roles, but he also is in like shit. So that's the joke with Channing Tatum.
Yeah, but which is which? I can't tell.
Yeah, it's not he's like he's great in.
I guess Foxcatcher.
People like him in Fox. 21
they
Jump
say
Street.
He was good in Logan Lucky.
Yeah, like there's a lot of this. So
that's too new. For
anyway,
me. So oh wow, Jupiter Ascending. I remember that.
Jupiter Ascending. So I think that's all I've got for this one. Let me go through and see if I have any other. We didn't talk about the exact. We talked about the circumcision stuff in the beginning. That's also a real highlight.
I don't know anything about circumcision. What's the debate?
We're not getting into it. It sounds like he really helped her make the decision that was right for your family.
Actually, from the scene, I do want to highlight the line saying he's always helping others, but I sometimes hope he doesn't show up. No man should be asked to give that much, and I like that line just because it that does feel like it encapsulates Todd up to that moment. The fact that he's always there for the other characters, but you never really see the other characters helping Todd out. And even in the background, you notice it throughout this episode. You have Todd making lunch for Diane. He puts the bib on Mr. Peanut Butter, makes him breakfast. He even makes a line he puts the heartworm medicine in Mr. Peanut Butter's cheese, and to keep him healthy and things like that. Yeah. Things that nobody would notice, right?
Yeah.
But that's just
I agree.
Todd's personality.
That was a good encapsulation of his role in the show, yeah. I will say, relating to that cheese thing, I found that to be too smart for Todd. Todd just he just comes up with the solution to Diane very quickly. I don't think we've seen that from Todd in the past in the show. I don't know. I guess I'm just a Todd hater, but that seemed
maybe. Although he spent a lot of time with Mr. Peanut Butter, so I think he's secretly smart enough to just understand how he ticks and how to get
that part things. I got, but him relating that to Diane's blog problem.
Okay.
Why is Todd giving Mr. Peanut Butter his heartworm medicine?
He was his assistant or whatever before. Yeah.
Yeah, but
minus 1 point for Diane.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, if that makes sense, I feel like we know the characters.
Oh, so Mr. Peanut Butter is 50 by now? He should be able to take his own goddamn medicine.
Well,
no, but actually, old people are the ones who need help the most because they forget it, right?
He's not that old.
50 is not that old.
That's why you hire nurses to get you to.
He does not need a nurse.
It's because Mr. Peanut Butter is incompetent. Clearly.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that's all I got for this. Overall, Alex, closing thoughts on this episode.
Really good episode. I think it hit a lot of topics, some serious themes, and did it all pretty well. And the ending particularly is what stands out. Just the entire climax, the conversation between Bojack and Todd because of the asexual representation, but at the same time, it's also dealing with just their relationship over the past couple of seasons. So yeah, very, very, very good episode, above average for the show.
Sam, closing thoughts here.
Yeah, thumbs up. I mean, I think I liked it more watching it again. Because when I first watched it, I watched it like right after episode 2, and that was like too much of like a weird dissonance happening there. But watching it more in a bubble by itself, I really appreciated it more, and I appreciated the Toddness of it. As much as we like to harp on Todd, I kind of do relate to being a lazy slacker who's kind of a doormat. And it's good to see that every dog has his day.
Yeah, that's a good summation of Todd in this episode. Nice. Yeah, I think this is a remarkable feat of television representation wise, and also just a really great episode of television critically. So, very happy with Hooray Todd episode, and clearly the second best episode of the season out of 3. So there you go. I'll put this as around 15 overall for the series. That's where I've got it.
I love that title, by the way.
Hooray!
I can
Todd
just read
episode.
it in Aaron Paul's voice.
Yeah, that's the point.
Hooray! Todd episode.
Is that your Todd impression? Let's dive into that more. Yeah, I mean, we had this last season with "That's Too Much, Man" as the title.
That's too much, man.
Yeah. Really, they were playing the long game with that catchphrase. Anyway, there you go. That's Hooray Todd episode. So let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments on the website, on YouTube, or wherever else. You can find all of our contact stuff at overlyanimated.com. Make sure you subscribe to us, search for Overly Animated Podcast, and subscribe to us on iTunes so you don't miss any more of our Bojack content. Yeah, looks like we might be going episode by episode, so a lot more to come. Consider supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Taylor, aka Needle, and thanks to our Persian executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Andy. Yep. Bojack, Rick and Morty, main things coming up on the Overly Animated podcast. Make sure you check us out for all of that. And also, if you're enjoying the Bojack reviews, please give us an iTunes review citing Bojack, either on our Bojack feed or on our main feed. That'll definitely get my attention, and make sure your support for our Bojack podcast is noted. But also just retweeting and reblogging everything and stuff like that. So any support very much appreciated. We will see you guys next time for episode 4, Commence Fracking. Okay.
Oh no.
Commence fracking, Sam. You have to learn about what fracking is before that.
I've read like a little bit about it, and I just kind of stopped because
I feel like Sam. You've encapsulated the American voting public with that statement.
I am a voting public, so
Sam, the average voter. Yeah, there you
go. One final thought. We haven't talked about this, but Hollyhock used a lot of chloroform in this.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about the chloroform. That was kind of funny. Yeah. She's like, you can't just get chloroform and not use it. Yeah, so.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can. Oh, yeah.
Isn't that illegal?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Next time, we'll get into chloroform laws in addition to fracking. So that's what we have to look forward to. So thanks very much for listening, guys. We will see you next time. Bye.
Adios.
Bye.